Welcome back, American Family Radio Network, Financial Issues. I'm Dan Serio. It's great to be here. We are going to get to the phones. I just want to talk about a couple things. I want to get to a couple clips because we've got to recap this. It's in the media, but I need to give you some common sense perspective on this whole minimum wage situation, and because I think it's going to say a lot and does say a lot about where we are in this economy. So we've got to talk a little bit about that. The first thing, though, before I do that, I want to mention something. You probably have been waiting for this. You've listened to this program for a lot of years. You've been waiting for this. Well, AFA officially is starting our critter campaign. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm getting some feedback here in my ears. That hurt. We have officially started our critter campaign. And what that means is our partnership with Gospel for Asia. So Gospel for Asia and AFR will encourage you and are encouraging you to share Christ this Christmas by providing a gift to a poverty-stricken family in Asia. And AFR's Christmas Critter campaign is one of my favorite things that we do. My wife and I have been doing this, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we've been doing it since the first year that Gospel for Asia has been doing it. We first did it as a small group many, many years ago. We've continued it. My children do the same thing every year. And you have an opportunity to give a gift that would include a water filter, chicken, sewing machine, goats, pigs, bulls, blankets, Bibles, water buffalo, all those things. There's 19 different gifts that you can give that range in a price from something like $21 on up. And we certainly would appreciate it if you take a look at that. You can go to afr.net and click on that Critter Campaign logo and get all the information. I hope you'll do that. Or you can call 877-907-GOAT, G-O-A-T, 877-907-4628, or again, go to afr.net. I'll talk more about that later on, but these gifts are coming through a local pastor or missionary, a national pastor or missionary. It'll come with the Word of God. And these families, maybe for the first time, will hear about Jesus and the ultimate gift that is offered through the saving grace of Jesus. So you have an opportunity to not only impact their lives economically forever, but to impact their lives for all of eternity. And I hope you'll do that. Go to afr.net, check out the Critter Campaign. Well, there's been a lot of talk about Obamacare and some interesting things Charles Krauthammer said last night, which he's always so right on. But listen to what President Obama talking about, trying to encourage the youth to sign up for Obamacare. This thing's not going to work, even if the website's working, which it's not, by the way. Again, we hear another report this morning about the security threat to anybody. And now they're getting to the payment place where you put in credit card information, and it's not secure. The site is not secure. So anybody doing this has to be out of their mind, but nevertheless, they're claiming that the site is working. Here's what President Obama said yesterday.
I hope you haven't been discouraged by how hard it's been, because stuff that's worth it's always hard. Civil rights movement was hard. Getting women the right to vote, that was hard. Making sure that workers had the right to organize, that was hard. So this has been the case for Social Security, for Medicare, for all the great social progress that we've made in this country. And I want to say all that just because my hope is not only that you work hard to help folks get signed up today and tomorrow and next week, don't get discouraged. Be persistent. You may get a few gray hairs as a consequence, but I think at the end of the day, you'll think it's worth it.
Why will it be worth it? And I just think the arrogance of comparing the difficulties of a website with the civil rights movement, with women's right to vote. I mean, I just think, when you hear that, I mean, was anybody there? I didn't see it, but was anybody there squirming in their seat when they hear the president comparing it's hard with Obamacare as hard, similar to the civil rights movement? I mean, come on. Gosh, that's so, talk about, don't get discouraged. That's discouraging. It's discouraging to see the kind of, I hate to say leadership, but so-called leadership that we're faced with. Charles Krauthammer said this last night.
Obama thinks that he can repeal reality with rhetoric. His trouble is he had a little bit of trouble governing. And here he's faced with a management problem, a government problem. He passed a bill that is so complex. The regulations are so complex and contradictory. He's got a website that is not functioning correctly. And he thinks that if he makes the right speeches, he says the right words, somehow it will change perception. But here he runs up against the wall.
And that's been the story of this president, that if he gets out there on the campaign trail, he is going to change perception. He is going to get people's mentality, minds moving from reality to some perceived notion that everything is fine. Now, look, I'm not discouraged. I'm not worried about the repeal of Obamacare, because Obamacare is going to lead to the repeal of everybody on Capitol Hill's job by 2016. So I'm not real concerned, because all of those that love this so much, and I am talking about Republicans and Democrats alike, will be fired, if not next November, for certain, if there's anyone left after next November. And of course, there still will be 2/3 of the Senate left, with another third in 2016 coming up for re-election, then, they're going to be gone in 2016. Because here's why. In 2016, everybody is going to know somebody that is suffering under the health care plan of this socialized medicine of the United States government. Everyone is going to know an elderly person that is not going to be able to get health care. Everybody's going to know maybe a special needs child that's not going to be able to get care. They're going to be denied the care they should have. We're going to begin to see in a short period of time the mortality rate for breast cancer to go up, because of the way the rule changes what they're paying for as far as mammograms go. And the reason that the United States is leading away there is because of early detection. Look, I mean, everybody's going to know somebody. And this president, this party of the Democrats, and I would hope the sitting Republicans, though as a party they didn't embrace it, but we've got a bunch of spineless men and women that wouldn't stand up to it, are going to be gone by 2016. So that's the encouraging part. Maybe we can get an actual functioning body that will actually govern and will actually listen to the people that have hired them for fear of getting fired again. Maybe. I'm not going to hold my breath, but maybe. Anyway, the other economic concern that we should have, and I'm going to talk about, then we're going to get to the phones, is the minimum wage thing. The minimum wage debate is gaining steam. It is getting up. It looks like we could be paying, workers that are in minimum wage jobs. If the government has their way, it will, in short order, be $13, $14 an hour. Now, that's great news if you're one of those people. But listen, let me just explain something to you. Let me play this clip on that very thing from Chavez, a Republican from Utah, was on the CNN Crossfire, which, CNN Crossfire is one of the campaign arms of the progressive liberals. They are one of their campaign. I mean, CNN is basically a campaign headquarters for liberal progressives, along with MSNBC. MSNBC being the worst, CNN being a little bit better. CNN kind of goes from show to show, but nevertheless, listen to this.
Obama.
When the president goes out and starts talking about minimum wage and you hear all these sad stories, you got to look at what the president is actually doing, because he's exacerbating the problem. He's not making the problem better.
Calling for an increase in the minimum wage is exacerbating the problem.
Well, yes, I do. I really do think about it. He wants to just raise the minimum wage. You're going to take this whole group of youth and prevent them from getting an opportunity, because employers are going to look at that and say, if it's going to cost more for labor, I'm going to hire less people. And that's the cruel reality.
Can I just do one follow-up? That's actually never proven to be true. An increase in minimum wage actually increases employment because you're investing in your workforce. And many, many CEOs agree with it, going all the way back to Henry Ford.
And if they want to retain good quality employees, they're going to make sure they've got a competitive market. Now, in North Dakota, where the energy sector is cutting loose and doing great things, they don't have a minimum wage issue there.
She's obviously talking from some academic talking points, which are based on ideology and clueless textbook scenarios. But aside from that, not to mention her own ideology and the liberal agenda. But here's the problem with minimum wage, which I would disagree in one point with, is that it's not about teenagers. This isn't about teenagers. Let me tell you what it's about. It's about the government saying we've got people, 35, 40, that have lost careers, that are now working in these kinds of jobs that were minimum wage jobs in order to try to provide for their family. And instead of developing a robust economy so that these folks can get back to work, they are now going to increase the minimum wage. Now, listen. Employers all over the country, you don't have to believe me. It's irrelevant, because it will be proven out if it happens. So if you don't believe me, that's fine. But I'm going to get the opportunity then, if you don't believe me, to say, now do you believe me? In a couple years, you're going to see automation in fast food and minimum wage jobs to the likes of which you haven't seen. You know what this minimum wage law, if it goes through, if it were to continue to escalate from state to state, it's going to help those automation companies. You're not going to talk to anybody at a cash register. You're going to sit there and tap a screen. And if you can't tap a screen, you're probably not going to be able to order. So everything, you're going to see automation back in the behind the counter to the likes of which we've never seen. You're going to see companies that this is actually going to benefit them in the long run. It's not going to hurt them, because they're going to hire so many less people. It's going to be astronomical to their bottom line, because it's going to help them with their Social Security portion that they pay tens of thousands of people across the country. If it's a chain kind of operation, it's going to help them with benefits. It's going to help them across the board, because they are going to be hiring. If you took every McDonald's in the country and you hired 5 less people, that has a dramatic impact in a positive way on the bottom line. If you can cut another 3 or 4 people through automation, that's going to have a dramatic impact. The investment for the automation is going to more than make up for itself. And we have an administration that, instead of fixing the problem being that they're the only jobs out there, instead of fixing that, they are going to try to work within the lousy economy that's created this. They're going to try to work within this idea of sharing the wealth and equalizing the worker by raising the minimum wage to something that is doable instead of incentivizing capitalism. Instead of trying to create an environment where there's robust job growth so that the people, look at the lowest segment of unemployment is teenagers. So they're all talking about teenagers. This isn't about teenagers. This is about middle-aged and 30-something people that had careers at one time that can't find a job. This is about college graduates that if they're not babysitting, nannying, or something else, this is what they're doing. That's what this is about. So instead of fixing the economy so that we have robust job growth, they are going to make the problem worse by increasing the minimum wage. Assuming, you've got people like Nancy Pelosi that think unemployment is good for the economy and food stamps and unemployment benefits are a strong growth factor for the economy. That's what she believes. She has said that. That's the mentality that is trying to govern what used to be, still is for now, the strongest and largest economy in the world. So again, unintended consequence of this is going to be astronomical, but it's sure going to go a long way for spreading the wealth and equalization. We'll be right back.